Hey, well, look at this. Big money Drew Nicholas here, by myself for the first time in my entire podcasting career. Um, Not really something that I could call a career, to be honest. But that's okay. That's fine. I can do whatever I want. It's my show, right? So this has been quite a week for wrestling. Quite a week. Um, for those of you that might not know me, I'm not really much of a I'm not much of a WWE. I'm not well. I don't go past WWE with my wrestling fandom. I try, to watch the indies and stuff and Evolve or New Japan if they come to America. But for the most part, I'm just WWE right now. But that's just right now. Down the road, maybe during the summer, I'll be able to start getting into more promotions and watching more things that a lot of people talk about. I follow a lot of people on Twitter at Nicholas Drew 91. By the way, if you want to go follow me there. Um, yeah, I talk to a lot of people who know Evolve and who know how to wrestle and probably do podcasts a lot better than me. This is my first episode by myself, so I'm just trying to get into a groove. But anyway, we had WrestleMania on Sunday, and I have to say that was probably one of the best WrestleManias I've watched. And I've not been watching many. My first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 30. What a big WrestleMania to be the first one, right? And honestly, I have to thank for doing that, for that being the first WrestleMania for me, $9.99, and basically that was my first WrestleMania. I've been watching WrestleMania WWE since 2012 religiously. Stopped in 2000, took a long hiatus, about as long as Goldberg, funny enough. And I just was flipping channels one day. It was actually the Raw after WrestleMania. It was the first show in 2012 that I watched. Brock Lesnar comes out and F5's John Cena. It was a huge thing for me to see after so many years of not watching, or I didn't even know pretty much anyone except for John Cena, funny enough. Now it's so crazy to see what my life has been like since then. How far my wrestling fandom has gone, where I'm a quote unquote mark now, if I want to call myself that. But yeah, I mean, I've had ups and downs with it. There's things that piss me off, and you're definitely going to hear those things on this podcast. So, WrestleMania was on Sunday, and man, it really, out of the three WrestleManias, well, four now, WrestleManias that I've seen from 30 to 33, I have to say this was the second best after 30, for sure. Seeing The Undertaker retire at the end, that was something. I mean, I was kind of not as emotional because of everything that was going on with Roman Reigns, which let me get this out of the way really quickly. I am a Roman Reigns fan. Just when I should say more, I'm more of a fan of the guy behind the character. I think he's a really good guy. I think he has a lot of potential. But I think that Roman Reigns, the character, as it is right now, awful, god awful. Um, he kind of redeemed himself on Raw the other day, just soaking in the unbelievable reaction he was getting. About 12 or 13 minutes of just that crowd completely crapping all over him. And he just soaked it up. And I think he actually did a really good job. I think he did a really good job with that. And just saying, this is my yard now, dropping the mic, getting out of the ring. I think that was a really, really great start to where his character could go this year after beating and retiring Undertaker. So I hope that things work out. I really do, because I do like Roman Reigns, the guy, and not the guy, the character, the guy, the actual guy playing Roman Reigns. So I don't really want to touch up on that, because that just I could go on for 4 hours. I'm gonna try and make these 30 to 35 minutes. I don't want to go long. Maybe I will sometimes. Depends on what's going on. Thank you, Goldie. Goldie in the chats. You can hear me. It's good that I haven't been talking for about 6 or 7 minutes now, and nobody could hear me. So good. Thank you. Yeah. So the New Day. Interesting that they were the hosts this year of WrestleMania instead of participating, but I think for what their role was, it was suitable for them. They didn't come out as much. They weren't all crazy, the catchphrases and 25, 30-minute promos. I think actually they did really well. The biggest surprise of WrestleMania this year, for me, there were a couple of surprises, which I'll get to, but the biggest surprise was the Hardy Boys. Wow, what a crazy reaction that was. I jumped out of my chair pretty much. That was so incredible to hear the Hardy Boys theme song, knowing everything that they've been through in the past year, and seeing them come out, and the way that New Day introduced them, I thought was very clever. Yeah, that was something. The crowd was. I equate it to an Attitude Era Stone Cold Steve Austin pop. Like, that was just incredible. And so far, their return on WWE's YouTube channel has over, I think, 8 million views now. It's one of the most viewed YouTube videos of theirs, maybe ever. I didn't check the statistics on that, but I would say if it's not the most viewed WWE YouTube video, it's got to be top 3. I think that they had a decent match. I mean, look, Matt and Jeff, they're not 25 years old. They're going to have the match of the age that they are. And even though they're not 25 years old anymore, they're still bumping like crazy. Jeff goes up to the top of the ladder. I mean, that's something that you would have seen them doing back in the Attitude Era. So I think they had a good match. I think they did fantastic. Now they're the WWE Raw Tag Team Champions. And like I said, they just came out of Ring of Honor. They re-debut in WrestleMania. They win the Tag Team Championships. I mean, that's what could you say about that? How lucky they are to have been given the platform that they were given in TNA, or, well, Impact, and to have such momentum this past year with the broken characters and Brother Nero and everything they did, the Hardy Compound and Rebby Hardy and King Maxwell and Senor Benjamin, just Vanguard 1 even. I mean, everything that they did to now come into WWE at WrestleMania and win the tag team championships, I think it's going to be a very interesting year this year for them. And I hope that they're able to do the broken stuff. You know, you can see with Matt, especially, he's got the mannerisms. He, you know, when he was walking down that really long ramp at WrestleMania, he did at one point do the delete, you know, arm movement, whatever that is. And you know, he has the movements of, or the mannerisms rather, of the broken character. But when they were on Raw Talk, they were not the broken characters at all. And Matt had this tweet, I think it was yesterday, where he said something about being savage now, and the crowd chanting delete, delete, delete. They're like kind of bringing that character back. So I think that that's a really good addition to their characters now coming into WWE. Because, I mean, look, wherever people come from, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, they're not going to be exactly what they were where they were before coming to WWE. So I think kind of reintroducing the broken character by having the WWE quote unquote universe make them the broken characters again, I think will be pretty good. It'll be great even for the new broken characters, or maybe they won't even be called broken anymore. Maybe they'll be called Savage, as Matt Hardy alluded to on Twitter. So I'm really excited for that. I've been very, very into what Matt and Jeff have been doing over at TNA and Anthem, or TN Anthem, rather, as Goldie says. I've been in the chats here. I've been calling it TN Anthem for a while now. I'm even blocked by Impact Wrestling's Twitter account because, you know, I had some not so nice words to say and they took offense to it, I guess. So, yeah, that's right. So they have a lawsuit right now, TN Anthem, with the Hardys over the broken stuff, if you live under a rock and didn't know about that. So I'm hoping that everything gets resolved there. But you know what? Even if it doesn't, Matt and Jeff are going to make it work on WWE television. They really will. And I mean, it's already working. And they just started again after being gone for, what, like 7 years at least. So, yeah, so I think the Hardys in WWE now, that's going to be very exciting. Making Raw, dare I say, must see. You know, I made sure to watch Raw live this week because they were on it. And not just from them. Now, a few weeks ago, Mick Foley, who I didn't really like as the general manager a lot of Monday Night Raw, he got fired, and Vince McMahon came to Raw after WrestleMania this past Monday and announced Kurt Angle as the GM. Now, Kurt's a special guy. I love him so much. He really just all of WrestleMania weekend, the day before, I watched a whole bunch of Kurt Angle stuff on YouTube. Um, I, he makes me laugh. He is a great wrestler, and I think just from his first night as GM, he also will make Raw a must see because his interaction with Enzo and Cass was I'm laughing now just thinking about it. It was like one of the funniest things I've seen. That's not how you spell soft. I mean, that's that comedic timing that only Kurt Angle knows how to do perfectly. That is going to be a great addition to Raw every Monday. I just hope that once Stephanie comes back, it doesn't get to like that emasculating stage again that Stephanie tends to do with pretty much everyone on the Raw roster. So I'm hoping, that they don't get back into that, or maybe she won't even show up again. But then again, we have Triple H back, so yeah, just hearing, just at WrestleMania, hearing all those people chant "You suck" at him was, incredible. And I never got to see, in my memory, I never got to see Kurt Angle live before. So hearing him at the Hall of Fame ceremony, and then coming out at WrestleMania, and then coming out on the Raw after Mania was fantastic. And just being able to experience that for the first time is incredible. I mean, because when I was watching WWE back in the Attitude Era, I was only 7, 8 years old, and by the time 2000 rolled around, I was almost 10 there. And I really wasn't a fan of WWF then, nor was I a fan of WCW. I really didn't watch any WCW. But I have a friend who brother was very much into WWF and Stone Cold. And I've said on other podcasts with my previous endeavor, Smart City, I've said, I got plenty of Stunner in my day. They hurt. So, all this fake stuff, it's definitely real. Yeah, so when I was watching back then, I didn't really soak up the memory of The Undertaker and Kurt Angle and the Hardy Boys. The only ones I really was attached to were Stone Cold, The Rock, and that was it, because it wasn't my fandom that I was living out. I was living out someone else's fandom. Now, I am a real fan, and it's exciting. It's really exciting to be a fan now. As much as sometimes they can piss me the hell off, but it is exciting to be a fan now. And after this WrestleMania, it's going to be even more exciting to be a fan, I think. Because you just don't know. Now, Vince McMahon on Raw, he announced a superstar shakeup between the two brands. And I think that could be interesting. I mean, that could go anyway. Hello, Martin Ellis. Martin Ellis in the chat room, another good friend of mine, along with Goldie. Yeah, I mean, the superstar shakeup, anyone can go anywhere. We thought that the champions of each brand were going to stay on that brand. But from what has been going on with Shane on Talking Smack and it seems that now anyone can move anywhere. So I don't know if that means now if I would imagine that the brand championship, women's and tag, I don't think they're going to end up moving, because then, I mean, they're if Matt and Jeff were to move to SmackDown, they're not the SmackDown tag team champions. They're the Raw tag team champions. So they would have to, you know, give up the Raw tag team champions, but they're not tag team champions when they come to Smack. You know, it just doesn't really make sense right now. So I would imagine, the Intercontinental Championship could move, the US title could move, even hell, maybe even the Universal Championship could end up on SmackDown. That would be weird. Well, not weird, but I mean, it's Brock, and Brock is not there as much, so I would rather it not be Brock. I would rather, the WWE World Heavyweight, but cross out World Heavyweight Championship, it were there. So yeah, so on what else happened at WrestleMania? I mean, somewhat. What didn't happen at WrestleMania is the question. The Raw women, Sasha, Charlotte, Bailey, Nia. I thought that was a pretty decent match. Um, I think the right person won, but I don't think that it was the right person who should have she should have gotten the pin on. I think she should have gotten the pin on Sasha, but it seems like they're not doing the Sasha Banks heel turn yet. So I don't know. We're gonna have to see what happens there. I think that so Triple H and Seth Rollins had their match at WrestleMania. That was interesting. It was all right. It wasn't a bad match, but the pedigree, it's got to stop. The pedigree, my God, Seth. I really thought that they would have at least teased a curb stomp after a whole year of not having it anymore. I thought that they would have done that, but all right, so they didn't do it, and he won. Seth won the match, and it was good, but I don't know. I hope that means that it's the end of their feud, and now Seth can move on to bigger and better things. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. We need Seth to get away from the pedigree. We need Seth to be a true babyface, because he only recently, in my eyes at least, started becoming a babyface. They completely botched his return last year after his injury, and how they could have him come back after such a great documentary on the network and build up this like big babyface return, and then just have him go back to being the crap dumb heel that he was. And then he injures Finn Balor at SummerSlam, brags about injuring Finn Balor at SummerSlam, and then all of a sudden Triple H turns on him and he's a big babyface in WWE's mind. Not really. That just wasn't the case. So he just, to me, started getting into being a real babyface. So I'm happy with what's going on now. Big news from Raw: Finn Balor finally returns, and my buddy Alex Briggs, who you may know if you've heard me before from my previous podcast on Smart City, he is a very happy man right now. Maybe I'll get Alex Briggs on this podcast once or twice. Um, yeah, I think that. So, all right. So, the way they brought Finn Balor back on Raw was interesting too, because when Brock came out and Heyman started talking about wanting him to go for Reigns because of him retiring The Undertaker and Reigns getting all the accolades again, the crowd was chanting for Finn Balor, and the crowd really wanted Finn Balor to come out and challenge Brock for the title, which I thought would have made a lot of sense since he, was injured. He didn't lose the title as, they do in wrestling. He never lost the title, so when he comes back, he should go for it again, regardless of who's champion. So I thought that that was what they were going to do, but instead they did an injury angle with Chris Jericho for the tag team match for the main event, and now Kurt Angle has to find a tag team partner for Seth for the main event of Raw. Surprise, surprise, enter Finn Balor. So I think that it was great to get him back. The reaction was really good of everybody, doing his entrance, and the camera work was really great for his return. So the crowd wasn't into it as much, though, and I think that that's because they realized that they're not getting what they want right away. And of course, we don't really have to get into how WWE pretty much encourages this type of a reaction after WrestleMania on Raw. They certainly did enough with the announcers announcing they're gonna, the crowd is gonna boo who they cheer and cheer who they boo. And I just thought that was absolutely ridiculous. Like, you don't have to say that to people. You don't have to tell casual fans that these people in the audience, oh yeah, they're just this crazy, rowdy crowd, and you're going to see them doing all these things, and don't pay attention to it. You know who the right person is to cheer. You know who the right person is to boo. I don't think that that's the right way to do it. And then they did it on SmackDown also, which SmackDown had a better crowd than Raw did for sure. But yeah, I really hate when they do stuff like that. But yeah, so they wanted Finn to come out for Brock and challenge for the Universal title, but they had him come out in the main event instead. But I think Finn Balor definitely deserves to be in the main event for sure. They pushed him so hard before he got this injury. And I can only imagine what WWE would look like right now. Both brands would look like right now if Finn did not get injured at SummerSlam and they were able to do everything that they had planned. So Finn's back. We're going to see now how his relationship with Seth is, because they kind of had that little stare down after they won the match on Monday. Will there be tension? Will they just do that whole everyone who's a babyface has to be friends with each other thing? So that's interesting to see going forward as well. Raw was basically heavily featured on WrestleMania more than SmackDown, which I guess, that's a given. You have to expect that because Raw is the flagship show. I think that going forward, SmackDown definitely needs to have some more matches for WrestleMania. I mean, look, We don't need Pitbull singing the song that we've heard already 2,000 times. And Flo Rida, yeah, it was Florida, and Flo Rida is a fan, and they bring Flo Rida in. We don't need that stuff. We don't need, the national anthem song at the beginning with the flyover and like, this isn't the Super Bowl. We don't. It's not the Super Bowl. We don't need to do all of that stuff. But all in all, WrestleMania was a really good show. Um, the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial, the Royal Rumble-esque type of a match. In the pre-show, Mojo Rawley won. I'm not really a fan of Mojo. His character is just so too energetic. It's too energetic for me. I think that his character just needs work. The way it is right now, it's just so. I know his whole thing is about hype and whatever, but it's just too hype. It's too hype. It's like on every type of drug hype. I don't need to see that. So please tone that down a little bit. Maybe even a heel turn, something. I don't know. Just got to change Mojo's character. What else happened at WrestleMania? I'm trying to see. SmackDown women got moved to the main card after they were going to be on the pre-show. Their match was really fast. And honestly, I was a little surprised that they gave the win to Naomi. I thought maybe Becky was going to get it, or Alexa. And then the fact that Naomi pinned Alexa, she could have pinned anybody except, she could have pinned Carmella. She could have pinned Mickie James, but they decided to have her pin Alexa. So, and the speculation on that is because they're going to move Alexa to Raw. I don't know if that's the case. Would I like to see that? Not really. I actually like seeing Alexa Bliss on SmackDown. I think that she really shines on SmackDown, but we'll see what happens there. So Naomi is the women's champion for SmackDown, and then she won the rematch on last night. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I want to talk about the call-ups now from NXT. And the best we'll leave for last. I'm not really a huge NXT watcher or fan. But Ty Dillinger got a fantastic reaction, and I'm really happy for him. At first, I thought the 10 chance would start to get annoying, but I think that it works for him. It works for that character, and I hope that it carries on. And even if he gets moved to SmackDown, I hope that, I like that when the ref goes down for the pin, 1, 2, 3, they go 10, 10. I think that's cool. I hope, that they book him well, and I'm really, really happy for Ty. The biggest call up that has to be mentioned is Shinsuke. That second only to Shinsuke would be the Revival on Raw. I thought that was really great. Just Shinsuke, man. Shinsuke had such a reaction on SmackDown. It's like, how do you not get chills just hearing that. I mean, that was one of the best debuts on the main roster for a very long time. I would say one of the top 5 debuts ever for WWE. Just the guy coming out with the violin, and it gives such a emotional feeling to his debut on the main roster, and that was such a pleasure to see live. I really, really hope that when he goes for his first feud, which it looks like is going to be Miz, since he came out during Miz's segment. Miz does wonders for anybody. I mean, he was AJ's first feud when AJ came in last year, and that propelled AJ, I think, to a new level, because Miz is just a fantastic performer all around. I hated the Miz so much. He was like, he had go away heat with me. Like I just couldn't watch him. And then ever since Talking Smack, that famous promo from Talking Smack, I just completely did a 180 on him, and I really am. I'm excited to see Shinsuke versus Miz. I think that's going to be a really fun program for Shinsuke's debut onto the main roster, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Shinsuke. I mean, so many possibilities now. Shinsuke versus John Cena when John Cena comes back. Shinsuke versus Miz now. Shinsuke versus Shane McMahon. I mean, and you know what? And I want to quickly touch on all of the part timers of that were on WrestleMania. Props to all of them. I didn't expect Shane. I know Shane's crazy, but Shane versus AJ at WrestleMania, that was a legitimately good match. That was a really good match. You know, Shane, Shinsuke Shane, there we go. Shane is a crazy man, absolute crazy man. And his return last year that got a humongous pop. That was a pleasure to see live as well, because that was just right after Daniel Bryan retired, and we just needed somebody to go up against Stephanie and just right all the wrongs that were given to us by the Authority since WrestleMania 30. So that was great. So Shane versus AJ, that was surprising. It was Goldie. It was surprising because I wasn't expecting it to be that good. And a lot of people came out of that going, yeah, of course AJ somewhat carried the match because AJ is the full-time wrestler. But Shane is such a spot crazy, bump fest, insane person that he made it work too. And props to him for putting on such a performance like that. The other part-timers, and this was what, considering what people were expecting, Goldberg and Brock, that was a surprisingly legitimate good match. Like, Goldberg bumped more than he had for any of his time coming back. And like he even said on the network on Raw Talk after Raw went off the air on USA, his son, if you didn't see this, it's funny. His son jumps over the barricades and falls on the floor. And then he says his son bumped better than him. I thought that was hilarious. And him and Brock had such a good match. It wasn't necessarily a squash match, which is what all of Brock's essentially Brock and Goldberg's matches have been since Goldberg came back. And I mean, it was fun. It was a fun match. So we're coming up on 40 minutes now. Yeah, I mean, that I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I got to talk about the proposal. Wow, how could I forget about the proposal? John Cena and Nikki Bella Cena now. I don't know how they're going to do the last name thing. Bella is such a brand at this point that she probably won't change her name, or maybe they'll do Bella Cena like McMahon Helmsley. But you know what? I'm very happy for them. It would have been really funny if she said no after all that time. There was some speculation on whether or not they would swerve, but I knew they weren't going to. And the match between Cena and Nikki and Miz and Maurice did nothing in the match, which I was a little surprised. I thought maybe she would have at least done like a minute or two of wrestling, but all she really did was slap John in the face and run around. So, but I thought the match was pretty good. Miz is hilarious, just like eating up that crowd reaction. The right people won, in my opinion. The right people won, and then the proposal at the end was very nice. Of course, I don't think anyone will ever get that Macho Man Elizabeth type of a reaction again, but it was something like that. It was pretty good. It was a good proposal following a decent match. Though it's funny though, because it kind of like plays into everything that Miz was saying, right? Like Al Roker was the special announcer from the Today Show. Like what? It almost is like everything that Miz was saying was true. Like everything is for television, and those segments that they did, those Total Bellas segments, were hilarious. Just like those segments are so funny. But yeah, but I thought like, wow, this is kind of like it's true what Miz was saying. Like everything is catered to the Bella brands and Total Bellas and Total Divas. But that's what they do in this show. Everyone that is a face is booked not really like a face and like a good guy, but there's some we don't have to get into that. So yeah, that was another decent match. Man, the Raw now, and this is an interesting thing too. So SmackDown did not have any tag team title defense at WrestleMania. Instead, the Usos, who I've really enjoyed since they've turned heel, the Usos were in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal in the pre-show, and then no mention of the tag team championships was done at WrestleMania, and then not even on SmackDown yesterday, which I only realized about 3/4 into SmackDown. I'm like, wait a minute, we haven't seen the tag champs, we haven't had any tag teams face each other, we haven't had any mention of the tag team championships. there's only at Talking Smack afterwards that the Usos came on, and then now they're going to have a title defense, I think. I don't remember if they said it was going to be next week or if it's going to be the next pay-per-view. I'm not 100%. I don't exactly remember what was said. But yeah, I thought that was really weird to just not even mention a division that's on SmackDown for both WrestleMania and the show SmackDown last night. But what I'm thinking is just that they're kind of treading water until next week, once the superstar shakeup is complete and everyone's where they're going to be. They set the storylines in place, and then who knows what's going to happen. Yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to be watching WWE again. Because for a while I was not, and before WrestleMania, I want to say for a good month, I did not watch Raw or SmackDown live. I barely even watched YouTube clips. I would just hear about what happened on Twitter, and that was pretty much it. I didn't watch. Well, I don't have cable. I have Roku, so I just watch the USA Network on the USA Now app. But I didn't put in any effort to watch the show or even look up YouTube clips. So I made sure to come, to be here for Raw and SmackDown Live this week, because it's the Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania. You have to be there for that. And I'm glad I did. I'm very glad I did, because the shows were great. And oh, you know what? There's one more thing that I forgot to mention: Bray and Randy. Yeah, that was just weird. Their match at WrestleMania was all right. Randy won, which was to be expected. But then on SmackDown, they did like the same thing that Raw did with Luke Harper and Randy Orton versus Bray and the returning Eric Rowan, who had I have to say, kick-ass new mask, sheep mask, whatever it is. Yeah, that with it looked like the goat or the sheep was in like a mental institution. It's a very interesting mask. I really liked it a lot. But of course, Rowan's eating the pins for Bray to protect Bray. But if I was Bray, I'd be like, dude, you suck. I don't want you near me. I don't want you tagging in my matches, because you're just bad. You always lose. So I thought that was weird, that match at the end of SmackDown. But I don't know. We're going to see what happens now. Luke being a babyface now and wearing a clean black tank top instead of the dirty white tank top. So it was kind of funny. And odd too, because usually the heels wear the darker colors. So I almost thought maybe we were going to get a swerve and Luke would join the Wyatt family again. But I don't know. We're going to see what happens. And I think that was pretty much it. The cruiserweights. Neville and Austin Aries. I did not, unfortunately, see their match on the pre-show for WrestleMania, but I did see their match on Monday, and No, I'm sorry. I didn't have a match on Monday. I'm getting confused now. The match between Neville and Mustafa Ali on Monday, which I thought was one of the best matches of the night. But of course, the Raw after WrestleMania crowd, being the Raw after WrestleMania crowd, decided to play with a beach ball and chant Beach Ball Mania and not even really pay attention to the match. I could rant about that crowd for hours, but I don't have all the time in the world today to do so. I think that they sucked. They were a bad crowd on Monday. They did good for Finn's return, although they did the wave during Finn's match when returning. So, yeah. So, yeah, I don't want to get into that. Yeah, so that was pretty much it. This is a brand new YouTube channel. So follow Big Money Talks. I'm on Twitter again at NicholasDrew91. I'm gonna probably do these on Wednesdays. I kind of like this time now. Wednesdays at 11. We'll see how it goes. People give me some feedback in the comments. Tell me on Twitter what you think. I'm just doing my own thing now, and I'm enjoying it. This was a fun first episode. Again, for those of you that are new, I worked on Smart City for a while with some people. We're all friends. There's no like animosity. There's no like, oh, this person screwed me over. We were all guys doing stuff for free, and we all had to move on and do our own stuff, and we're all still friends. We all still talk. Maybe some of them will be on here. I can get Alex Briggs on here. I can get Chris Marshall on here. D. Carter. I think I've been more of a talker than a typer. I'm not really much for typing on articles and news and all that stuff that I was doing on Smart City. I didn't really like that much. I rather do podcasts. I like doing this. My thought is in my head. It comes right out of my mouth. It's right to you guys. I like it this way. I like this type of a format. So I'll be doing this going forward. Every Wednesdays after Raw and SmackDown. If I can't do it on Wednesdays, most likely it'll be on Fridays. But as of right now, Wednesdays, 11 a.m., Big Money Talks. So thank you to Martin Ellis. Thank you to Goldie in the chat. Thank you to anybody that watches this. Thank you to everybody. And hopefully we'll get more people on here. I can get a guest on. I can get maybe a recurring person. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to work it. Right now, I like doing my own thing. So I'm excited for WWE. I'm excited for the Big Money Talks podcast. And I don't really have like a closure planned or anything. So I'm just going to say bye for now.